I've been writing short stories for quite a while, and someone said to me, you know, you can send short stories into competitions and stuff, and I was like, what is this? Tell me more. So I started sending the stories off, and really quickly I started noticing that the stories were getting shortlisted, longlisted, published, winning prizes overseas, but I never managed to crack New Zealand. There's not a lot of competitions in New Zealand, it's a small market. There's very few journals. I often would look at the ones that exist and think, oh no, my writing's not really good enough, or yeah, it's a bit too sexy or whatever, that's not going to work. You know, Radio New Zealand's not going to publish this, for instance, or read it on the radio. So I didn't feel like there was an avenue for my stories in New Zealand. And yet there clearly was a bit of an avenue overseas. So I thought, well, let's explore this, let's see who else in New Zealand is writing some kind of weird shit and publish them.
Emily basically called me one night and said, do you want to start a literary journal with me? And I was like, fuck yes.
I think it's a very New Zealand attitude to think, hey, there's a niche here, let's just try and fill it myself. But at the time, it was just this crazy idea that sounded like a lot of fun, and my friends were keen and people were excited by it, and we thought, let's throw ourselves into this, let's make a website. When I look back on it, it's like hopelessly naive. The scariest moment of this journey was probably discovering that not everyone thought this was a great idea, and not everyone that we were coming across was overly friendly about it. You had things thrown at us like, you know, what do you know? What right have you to start a journal? It was sort of a negative attitude, negative vibe, which I think is a real shame, because it's very New Zealand to be like a bit worried about patch protection, maybe a bit nervous about newcomers. And I think it's really important that we welcome anyone who's moving into new spaces and opening up new opportunities, seeing a niche and having a go. And that is something that we should be celebrating. I don't think there's any room in New Zealand and in the creative community to view newcomers in that sort of negative light. People would say to me, gosh, it's very brave to start a journal. And the first time someone said that to me, I was thinking, how's it brave? Anyone can publish something, you know, anyone can self-publish stuff. And very quickly I realized the bravery isn't in the creation of the journal, the bravery is in the fact that we were willing to do it. 3 women who no one knew in the industry, who have no literary credibility. Basically nobody's came out of nowhere and suddenly said, woo, we're throwing all this into the wind and we are creating folly.
I'm incredibly proud at the grit that we showed, and we didn't give up. It started with an idea almost 2 years ago and a huge stream of Facebook Messenger chats and voice memos discussing it and photographs of this art and that. And to be here now with a publication that we're incredibly proud of, and there's hundreds of people wanting to support us, is pretty humbling.
One of the best entrepreneurial strengths is to not give a fuck what people think, take the risk, throw yourself into it 100%, and once the ship's sailing and you start doubting yourself, well, it's too late by then, you've just got to keep going. And there were days when Tiana and I would look at each other and say, this is insane, what are we doing? But it was too late, we were on it, so we just had to keep going. The reason that this has even been possible is because we've taken a more commercial approach to it. So anyone else who's out there thinking about some beautiful creative idea they have, I would just encourage them to really think first about how they're going to fund it and how it's actually going to be financially viable long term. Because at the end of the day, you have to know that what you're creating is sustainable and it's not just a flash in the pan project.